Disclaimer. These videos show some tips to help you on a thru hike of the AT. The ideas presented are not the only way, merely one hiker's experience. Remember, hike your own hike.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another
Tips from the Trail.
And in today's video, I want to quickly cover 5 of my favorite winter hiking and camping tips. Getting right to it, tip number 1. Tip number 1, guys, is know the rating of your sleeping bag or your sleeping system. And the reason why I specify this is because oftentimes people don't understand that different companies rate their gear different ways. The best way for me to explain it is, for example, my Cat's Meow sleeping bag from North Face actually has 3 ratings on the bag itself, and that is their comfort rating, their normal rating, and the survival rating. And these 3 ratings are different, but what is actually advertised from their website is that middle rating, which I think the Cat's Meow is 20 degrees, comfort's more like 30, and then survival is like 10 or 0 or something along them lines. But the important part is for you to know that all companies are a little different, and do a little research to find out if a company is advertising their sleeping bag as a 10 degree. Is that for comfort or is that just for survival? This is gonna keep you much more happy and much more comfortable on the trail, being in a sleeping bag that not just keeps you alive, but keeps you comfortable. Tip number 2, and this is where you can make good use out of that sleeping bag. Oftentimes when you're hiking and camping in the winter, it's snowy or maybe it's starting to melt and your boots or your shoes get very wet. And it only took this mistake one time for me and Sharon to realize that overnight, if it drops cold enough, these will freeze and will become almost unbearable to slide your feet into in the morning, especially if they're frozen solid. What you can do to avoid this is actually sleep with your boots or sleep with your shoes. More to the point, any of your gear that you don't want to get cold or freeze, you can sleep with in your sleeping bag. Now, please take caution in doing something like this. What we would do is actually take our boots off. In my pack, I have a bag liner, which is a trash compactor bag. At the end of the day, I would pull that out, flip it inside out, and put my shoes inside of it, and then twist it closed. Now, this will eliminate any of that moisture from your shoes escaping and getting your sleeping bag wet. So just know, take caution in what you bring into your sleeping bag with you and how you bring it in, because you need to make sure that you keep your sleeping bag dry. Tip number 3. Now this one is one that I don't hear very much at all, and it's one of the things that I really like to use when I'm out camping or hiking in the winter, and that is hike early. Hike early in the morning. The temperature is going to continue to drop until first light. Most people think, oh, it's just colder at night and it's warmer in the morning. Not true. It is the coldest it will be right before that sun comes up. So if you're looking to get some better sleep on the trail, get into camp a little bit early. Get your dinner made, get your cooking done, and actually settle down a little bit early so that you get to sleep when that temperature's a little bit warmer. I have so often heard people say, I got to sleep and I slept pretty good, but about 2 or 3 in the morning, I woke up and I just couldn't get back to sleep. Well, that's because it keeps getting colder. If you do get to sleep early, when you wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, you have already got your night's sleep in. Pop up, get cooking breakfast, get some warm food in you, some warm liquids in you, get your stuff packed up, and then at that bitter cold time in the morning, get hiking. Hiking is the best way to get warm, and if you're not carrying any other heat source, really, your body is your only way of creating heat. So if you're cold in the morning, get out of bed and get hiking. And number 4, guys, would be, if your hands are getting cold, it may not be that you need to put more layers on your hands, but actually more layers on your torso, your core. Once your body starts to cool down, obviously it pulls blood in from your extremities to keep your core and your vital organs and stuff warm. So if your hands are getting cold, it may actually be that your body's pulling and not pushing as much blood out to your hands, and it's not having as good a circulation to warm them up. So by putting extra layers on your core, you can actually encourage your body to push more warm blood out into your fingers and down into your toes and actually warm your hands up. I use this theory a lot on the AT. I only wore a very thin pair of gloves on the trail because I found that as long as I was moving and I kept my body warm, that my hands and my feet would stay warm. And number 5, guys, if you're gonna get out there and you're gonna hike or you're gonna camp in the winter, when you're actually moving and hiking, it is better to hike cool or hike cold. Oftentimes when I start hiking, I'll actually start with a lot less layers on than I think I need, and sometimes to the point of almost kind of shivering when I get started, so that I don't run the risk of sweating. I feel it's always better to err on the side of being a little chilly than being a little too warm and sweating. This will also save you that all too common stop after 10 minutes of hiking to pull off layers. On the AT, what Sharon and I did, we actually did what we called the half-hour test. We would layer up in the morning with a little less clothes than we thought we would need, and we would start hiking, and a lot of times we would be pretty chilly when we were hiking, but we would give ourselves a half hour. And within that half hour, most of the time, we would warm up and be plenty warm, and it would save us from having to take off layers. But if you aren't warm by that half hour, then you can go ahead and put layers on. But the one thing that you wouldn't have done by that time is started sweating. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope so very much that this video has been helpful. And if you have any more tips for dealing with cold weather and hiking or camping, please leave them in the comment section below. And stay tuned for more tips from the trail, because if they worked for me, they may work for you. Bye-bye.
Until we meet.
Oh, he was going to pull away though.
Happy trails to you. Smiling until then.
Here, we can walk around.
Happy trails to you.
Here's his famous expression. Release and Daryl. Happy trails. Release and Daryl.
Stay safe. Keep your twin blazes, baby.
I like it, I dig it, I want more of it.
No.